Hey everybody, welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri, and currently on Broadway, you can listen to your favorite Alanis Morissette songs, but set to a new and contemporary context. Jagged Little Pill takes the songs from the now classic pop rock album and applies them to stories about addiction, family, sexual assault, and high school longing. I mean, I guess kind of like the original album already does. But within this musical is an incredible performance by Kathryn Gallagher, who plays Bella, a teenager at the center of a very big controversy. Please welcome the actress herself, Kathryn Gallagher. Let's hear it. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, and thank you to you for coming. Hello.
How long have you been a singer?
Oh, forever.
How did that start?
I don't think anyone's ever been able to just shut me up as long as I've been alive. I think it's been, honestly, I think I started singing when I was like a little girl. My parents always tell this story about how they'd be driving in the car and then they'd say a word and then make me like sing a song about it. So they'd be like, bus, and I'd be like, bus, bus, bus. I don't know if that was the song, but something
you
to
sang songs
that.
about buses.
Yes, yeah.
When did you start, for lack of a better way to put it, professionally singing?
I started writing songs at 11, and then I started
About buses?
About buses exclusively. It's a niche category, but I'm committed. And so when I was about 11 years old, I started learning how to play guitar and writing songs. And then I started putting some demos on MySpace Music around when I was 12. And then I got a message from actually my mom's friend, Arthur Baker, who is an incredible songwriter and DJ. And he was like offered to introduce me to his friend Greg Sutton in LA, and then he started recording me, and then I started playing shows. I wrote to like every venue in Los Angeles when I was about 15 years old, and I was like, "Hey, what's up? I'm Kathryn. I'm 15, and here's my MySpace Music, and can I play a show?" And most places were like, "No." And then the Whiskey A Go-Go wrote back, and they were like, "Yeah." And so I played my first show then, and ever since then it's been, you know, anywhere I can play, I've pretty much played. And
how would you characterize your songs?
I think that, you know, I'm a big fan of a confessional singer-songwriter moment, and I'm pretty sure that's the lane I tend to fall into. But yeah, I mean, folky, guitar-driven
I'd
rock
imagine
music.
if you start writing songs at 11, though, your influences have changed greatly from 11 till now.
Surprisingly, not too much.
Oh, really?
Surprisingly not. Yeah. You know, I think that I have really
the music
cool
that I
parents.
listened to when I was 11, and it was like not cool.
You know, it's interesting. I think that when I was 11, I was listening to a lot of like, this was the prime emo era. So, I mean, I'm talking Blink-182, I'm talking Fall Out Boy, All American Rejects, Boys Like Girls, like that really influenced a certain level of my guitar playing for sure, and my hairstyles. And, but really it's like my parents really raised me on Carole King and Janis Joplin and Alanis Morissette. And so that sort of was, you know, that started being my favorite kind of music. And when your favorite kind of music at 11 as a kid is Alanis and Carole and Janis Joplin and all these people, you kind of carry that with you forever. Stevie Nicks, you know?
Right, you're doing okay at that
yeah,
point.
you don't get tired of them. Yeah. So it's pretty much been that forever. And then a couple new, you know, there's so many incredible artists now that influenced me that obviously weren't around then. But yeah, it's definitely tried and true.
How did you get involved with Jagged Little Pill?
This is a project that I feel like I have chased down for years. I actually found an email that I wrote to my parents in 2013. It was the very first announcement of the show. They said Tom Kitt and Alanis Morissette are working on a musical version of Jagged Little Pill. And
they announced that in 2013?
In 2013. And I know this because when I actually got the job, I was looking for my schedule, my first day of work, and I looked like Jagged Little Pill up in my email, and I found this email. I sent to my parents just the link to this Billboard article, and I wrote, I need to do this. And then I sent it to my parents. And then I got to, which was very cool. That kind of thing never really happens. And when, obviously I fully forgot about that email that I sent, but then back, I guess when they announced the show was actually happening in 2017 maybe, I wrote to my reps and I was like, I'll do anything, just let me audition. I don't know if there's a role, I don't know anything. I went in for like a general ensemble call, and out of that, Bella was actually started off as like a sort of featured ensemble role in the show. And yeah, I went in, they sent me the sides, and that was August 2017.
Started as a feature ensemble role. What exactly does that mean?
The role was sort of
smaller?
Smaller, yeah.
And how
there
did it
wasn't as
end up
much to do.
growing throughout the process of the show?
I think that through sort of the response we got from the audience, through just sort of diving into, fleshing out the show and going deeper, and there was, sort of a desire to find out more about Bella's world and this plot line. And, Diablo Cody is like one of the most brilliant writers of our time, and she really was interested in sort of fleshing out Bella's storyline, and so we did, and we explored, and we asked questions, and we tried I mean, that's the brilliant thing about developing a new show is you get to ask all these questions, you get to dive deeper, you get to sort of peel back all the layers and really, dive in a way you don't always get to.
So you were with the show from the beginning, essentially.
Yeah.
And what were the workshops like? Was it like you and the other members of the cast and Diablo and your director all kind of figuring out what the show was going to be? How much of the script had been kind of finalized? What was in place?
The whole script existed, and then it just starts from a place of diving in deeper and asking questions and what ifs. And I mean, I should say that this musical has like a super group of humans that I didn't even know was possible. I mean, we have Diane Paulus, Diablo Cody, Alanis Morissette, C.D. Larby, Tom Kitt. Like literally every single person on our creative team has broken boundaries and created works of art that will live on forever individually. And then to have them all in this one room, sort of seeking the truth and the core essence of this story that comes from this iconic album. I mean, it's like, as an actor, I just felt like a student. I was like, what can I learn from this super group of humans? Like, you never get that opportunity to absorb so much genius up in one space. And so it really was just like, every day walking into work, seeing, what you can discover.
You have an incredible voice.
Thank you.
And I'm curious, there's a difference between singing songs that you've written with a guitar and singing on a Broadway stage in a musical number. As much as these songs, 20 some odd years ago started as simple songs on a guitar by a singer-songwriter, they are now musical numbers. So what was it like transferring your voice from what you normally do to a Broadway stage? I know you've done Broadway before, but how did you develop that muscle?
My director will tell you, it takes a lot more diction to do it on Broadway, very clear enunciation, because it's one thing to be with your guitar in an intimate studio, and quite another thing to make sure that 1,200 people can understand every word you're saying, because also in musicals, every word we sing is furthering the plot.
Is it a 1,200-seat theater that it's?
I believe so.
Wow.
Yeah. I know, wow, I just got nervous saying that. I've never actually thought about that, and now I'm like, wow, you guys are coming to see us do the thing. So cool. But yeah, so I think it's all really the same when you boil it down. You're all trying to tell a story, no matter if you're acting on a TV show or singing on a pop album or doing a Broadway show. All you're doing is telling a story. And I think the more that I can understand the totality of all of the different jobs I've had is, I'm just like I'm telling a story, like I would sitting here to you guys hanging out, with a glass of wine. We're just hanging out and you're telling a story, and that's really just our job.
Do you find that singing on Broadway and applying the diction to the songs there affects your songs when you're singing your personal songs that you've written?
I would say that yeah, I think so. I think it all informs each other. I think there's such different muscles and all in the same box. You know what I mean? It's just like, which tool am I going to pull out today? And I think every space you're in, your body naturally adapts and you naturally sort of fall into a different rhythm. And I think that right now, every time I enter the Broadhurst, it's like Bella time, And so therefore my mindset is very much in Bella land, in Jagged land, in this very, very specific part of my brain and my body. And when I'm doing my own stuff, that's like a very, very different muscle and very different mindset, but all sort of the same, it's all the same game.
Bella is a pretty heavy character. She's a survivor of sexual assault, date rape, within the show. What is it like giving voice to that story? Does it feel like a responsibility you're shouldering, or is that something that you put out of your head so that you can just focus on this specific character?
100% it's a responsibility. I think it's, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be able to give voice to this experience that is so frequently silenced and ridiculed and diminished. And I feel very, very honored to have been given that trust and that, that job. But yeah, it's definitely, it's not something I take lightly. I think that it's an experience that there are too many people in this world that know about too intimately. And I think that it's about time we sort of tell this story on a broader stage. And, the world has shifted so much, even only in the past couple of years. Telling stories, with the Me Too movement and with everything, that I think that the fact that we get to tell this story of a young woman who so bravely and stands up and tells her truth, I think it's about time, and I feel very lucky that I get to do that.
Were you ever nervous in doing it? What kind of conversations did you have with Diablo and your director beforehand during the workshopping?
I don't think I was nervous. I think that, honestly, I remember reading the audition sides and thinking, I know this girl. It's an experience I wish I didn't understand so much, and it's an experience I wish no one in the world had to understand, but I knew it and I understood it, and I definitely felt very sort of ready, and I was thrilled to see it getting representation. I was thrilled to see the way that Diablo writes is so unafraid, and so she's so fearless in the way she dives into these sort of multifaceted levels of an experience, of a trauma, of she's not afraid to approach something with mess, because that's the world we live in. Mm-hmm. The world we live in, you do have a million different topics and traumas and experiences happening all at once. Nothing is tied in a bow, and the way that she so fearlessly approaches that is something that is an actor's dream. And there were so many conversations that Diane and Diablo and I had, books that we read, Chanel Miller's book. I would say everybody in the world should read that book. It's excellent. I've read it twice now. It's phenomenal. Know My Name. I think that we watched all of Mariska's I've watched every interview with her. I've watched I Am Evidence, her film. If anyone hasn't seen that, you should absolutely do that. Interviews with different survivors, making sure that the psychology of trauma was something we really understood. Alanis is like a mastermind at psychology. I don't know if you listen to her podcast, but she is like truly one of the most well-studied women on the planet, especially when it comes to handling trauma and whatnot. And so, yeah, this entire team was very, very well-studied, well-learned, and well-lived, I think.
One of the things, it was a wonderful surprise of the show, which is that you are not clearly the star of the show from the get-go. But about halfway through the second act, you sort of rise up to be a central focus of it.
That's very nice of you to say.
Yeah, to the detriment of your other cast members, maybe, who might be listening and are like, what?
Everyone on that stage is a star. I will say that. My God, I've never worked with such a talented group of people. It is extraordinary.
I mean, what was it like to sort of see that develop? Because as you said, it didn't necessarily start that way. So what was it like to suddenly be like, oh, okay, my character has this much to do, I have a song that is the centerpiece of the entire show in a way. I mean, one of the centerpieces.
I think that I'm just so honored and excited to walk into that room and be in a creative environment that allows us to ask questions and allows us to be curious and play. I mean, my favorite thing about working with Diane Paulus is she will, like, the amount of times I've said to her, like, listen, I don't know if this is going to work, but I kind of want to try. Like, what if I did it like this? And then you try it on stage during previews and you see, did it work? And sometimes, no. It's like not everything works. And so to have a team that is so willing to ask endless questions and explore things deeply and so intensely it's just an actor's dream. And so watching this role develop, watching this show develop and turn into something that we're all so excited about and so proud to do is it's so cool.
And which song do you sing again? You sing a couple, right? But what's the big number?
So the first solo song I sing is called Predator. And that is actually the only song Alanis wrote for the show, which is like so cool. And I remember the first day I got it, I was walking my dog. This was during the lab in like 2017. And I got this email that was like signing my life away to make sure I wouldn't play it for anyone. And I was like, oh my God, I'm about to listen to a never heard before Alanis Morissette demo. Like, literally bury me now. And I remember listening to it and her voice singing these haunting lyrics. I mean, I will never forget that moment as long as I live.
Did you play it for anybody?
No, I really didn't. I was so scared.
You weren't like, come over.
I couldn't.
I'll play this for you, but don't tell anybody.
You know what? It's funny. I actually remember telling my friends, I was like, listen, I sing this brand new song. And all of them so dopely were like, no, we can't wait to see the show. And I was like, dope. So I have like cool friends that have mad respect for the element of surprise on stage.
Oh, that's nice. I would have been like, play it for me.
I know.
Do the bad thing. Do the bad thing for me. Do something bad for me.
Do the bad thing. I know. No, they were like really dope and understanding. But so that's the first song is Predator, and it's just such a gorgeous song. My God, the Alanis's poetry is. I mean, we all know. Like everybody knows Alanis is a genius. And then there's this other song, No, which she did release, and that's sort of a very, very big moving group number that I get to start out. And, the hook line of that song is, what part of no do you not understand? Which I think is somewhat self-explanatory as to what that might be about. And
is Predator the song that has the incredible choreography around the beds? Yeah, the choreography there is beautiful.
It's phenomenal.
That sequence and the sequence that goes backwards.
Smiling. Oh my gosh,
really
yes.
cool. Yeah.
Ugh, I love that
and
number.
very unexpected within this show. I just did not expect to see choreography like that on
C.D.
stage.
Larby is a legend. I mean, I don't know if you guys have heard of Beyonce. Yeah, no, same, right? But C.D. Larby...
More of a Solange fan myself.
Honestly, so dope. Like, can't go wrong either way. But yeah, so Larby choreographed a bunch of her music videos and live performances, and and then runs like 1 million ballet companies all throughout Europe. Like, he's a genius, and he's the kindest man you've ever met, which is truly a theme throughout our whole creative team. Like, we lucked out. I swear to God, everyone in that building is the nicest person I've ever met. And so, yeah, Larby is his mind, the way he approaches storytelling, and he uses his body like a full-on dictionary. Like, he has, like, the tools he has to express emotion and the way he understands emotion is, brilliant. Yeah.
We should go to audience questions in a second, but I'm curious, where can people hear your music?
Oh, all the internet places.
All the internet places.
Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, probably Amazon also.
Is it still up on your MySpace? Can they check out your MySpace?
I bet there's I haven't looked at MySpace in a decade, and there's probably like some really embarrassing songs I wrote at 14 still up there. So shouldn't have said that.
Find it.
I should not
Find
have
it,
said
people.
that.
Find it.
What is wrong with me? Yeah.
Let's get some questions from the audience. Who has a question?
Right here.
Hey.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
Okay, so I've seen the show a bunch of times. It's great. You're brilliant.
Thank you.
So there's a lot of cool costumes in the show.
Yes.
Which one is your favorite?
Honestly, I get to wear a lot of really comfortable clothes. I won't lie to you. My favorite, I wear this really big purple sweatshirt, and it's so freakishly soft, and I get to be in it for like 30 minutes. They're all great costumes, but I love a comfortable sweatshirt. That is a boring answer. I'm so sorry.
No, it's perfect.
They're all great. Oh, and I get to wear, in the very beginning of the show, I get to wear this like oversized Sublime shirt and these like leopard like spandex pants, and that's really cool. Yeah.
Next question.
Hi.
Hi, I saw the show and you're amazing.
Thank you.
I just wanted to know, since you play such a character that goes through so much, how do you tap into that before the show, and how do you unwind from that after every show?
That's a great question. I tap into it, honestly, I'm super like, I'm a witch. And so I have this whole smudge spray because you can't light candles in a Broadway theater. I don't know if you knew about this. They're very strict about it. So I have a nice little smudge spray that I kind of use, and I meditate for a second. I do a little bit of sound clearing and kind of gets me into it. And I kind of just zone in, try to shut my brain off for a second. And then after the show, I have a playlist of like really cool, badass female artists that I love. And I actually have a full-on dance party because our intimacy coach, who really helped us do a lot of the more sort of complicated scenes in the show, told me that our body traps trauma, even if it's on stage, even no matter what. And so that actually releasing it through your body is a really good way. So she was like, yeah, have a dance party. And I was like, I can dance it out. Trust me. It's like Meredith and Christina do on Grey's. Does anyone watch Grey's Anatomy? There you go. Okay, so you know how Meredith and Christina dance it out? Like, me and my best friend do that too, and that's what I do after the show. So I made a really badass playlist with
Dance it out in your dressing room?
I do. I literally like play this playlist, and I fully like...
Does anyone join you?
No, it's very embarrassing.
Just you?
Yeah, it's a solo dance party.
That's great.
There's like one person in the world that is allowed to see me dance like that, and she's in LA, so it's cool.
Congratulations on the show and an incredible performance. Jagged Little Pill is currently on Broadway in which theater again?
The Broadhurst.
The Broadhurst Theater. And if people want to hear Kathryn's music, it's on Spotify and all of the internets.
All the internet.
All the internet. An incredible performance. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Everybody give Kathryn a huge round of applause.
Thank you.